So we're gonna do part 3 of chapter 3, I believe. Let's do it. Trial. So as a recap, we just found out that there was murder, and it was a moving carriage, and the guy who was accused of being the murderer is this super rich dude who bought Park, and he's really generous, a philanthropist, and being rich, people are prejudiced against this guy, and we find out that there's more to meets the eye than more than meets the eye. Yeah, there's one guy who's in the witnesses who is actually in debt with the guy who apparently killed the guy. And so that rich guy was actually accused, and he would get the death penalty here in Britain. And so the people who are in debt would actually default in the loan and they wouldn't need to pay it. And so the twists and the turns of this will continue. Right now it's 18th February of 1252. We have the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber. Hold on, I need to load Sir Jazeel in case he goes on, because I love sending you guys to him. Alright, let's do it. What on earth just happened here? So, we're Ryunosuke Naruhodo, who's the main character in this. Then we have Mikitoba Susato, and she's our assistant. Miss Susato, I was told in advance form of smoke grenade, a type of exploding device that releases smoke. Smoke grenade? It sounds like some sort of thing ninjas use. They're just making sure everything is safe now. I think the trial will start again before long. But who would have done something like that? The police managed to catch someone who was trying to flee the courtroom, apparently. Flee the courtroom? Why? Well, it's a young girl of around 15, I hear. A young girl? Then could it be? The other passenger, Mr. McGilded? So Mr. McGilded is our... Oh, we have to defend him. Your thoughts exactly. So he wasn't lying. Oh, what's become of Mr. McGilded, actually? There's so many things I need to ask him about, but he's not here. I think he was summoned to the prosecutor's antechamber to answer questions, along with the young girl. Who is she, I wonder? What was she doing here at the trial? She was taking a huge risk, and for what possible benefit to herself? There's another matter that's troubling to me. What's that? The 20 pence. Oh, yeah, she's reading. According to the coachman, Mr. Beppo, so there's a coach driver, the person who drives it, yeah, who charged 20 pence, 10 pence, 5 pence? Charged 5 pence 4 times, so that he'd have 20 pence. That's his testimony. That comes to a total of 20 pence exactly. But now it seems there was in fact 5 passengers, but which means the figures don't seem to add up again. She's right. That is strange. Counsel for the defense. Kindly proceed to the courtroom. The trial will recommence in 5 minutes. Oh, thank you, thank you, officer. We'll go in straight away. Well, whoever she is, I imagine this young girl will be asked to take the stand and testify now. Can't imagine what she's going to say. It could alter the whole direction of the trial. We'll know soon enough. Miss Susato? Yes! We'll see. We'll see. Got really bright outside. Natural light. Ooh. There's the young girl next to Mr. McGildet. Look. She must have been the one who caused the disturbance before. She's hiding her eyes. Well, after that rather eventful recess, the court will now resume the trial of Mr. Magnus McGildet. Now then, Lord Van Zykes. Da-da-da. My lord, I believe you have established the cause of the smoke which veiled proceedings earlier. It seems to have been an advanced form of smoke grenade, or some sort, typically employed by the army. Ooh. Good gracious, the army. What in devil's name? It was an elaborate attempt by a young girl to cloak her escape from the public gallery, but she was caught. Now occupies the stand. Your name, girl? Are you responsible for the smoke grenade which induced the such pandemonium here in my courtroom? She's quiet. What is the meaning of this deplorable behavior? If I may, my lord. Yes, Mr. McGildet. I think perhaps I ought to explain here. Why is it that this wee lass was here in the first place? Why should you try to bolt like that? It is all tied up with the events of that night, so it is. Very well, Mr. McGildet. Give your testimony. You will explain to the court how exactly this young woman is involved in the case. Just what did happen that night? It's not like a defense lawyer needs that information or anything. So we are totally blindsided by all this new information. So we have always learned everything like last moment in this set of trials. The young girl. On the night in question, I took the back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then begorra, a loud thud and a wee scream woke me up in a fair start. There was a fella, collapsed on the floor at me feet. So I sat him up on the seat across from me. Oh. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? There was a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. So she was a stowaway or something. I remain somewhat baffled, I confess, but from what I gather on the night in question, this young girl was indeed riding in the omnibus. Is that correct? This exactly as the defense counsel said. This last was the 5th passenger, my lord. Oh. Very well. The defense may now cross-examine the witnesses. Are you ready, counsel? Are you ready, counsel? Yes, my lord. Yikes. Or rather, no. I have no idea where to start. Young girl. On the night in question, I took back seat in the omnibus and promptly nodded off. Then, begorra. I don't even know what that word means. A loud thud and a wee scream woke me up in a fair start. There was a fella, collapsed on the floor at me feet. So I sat him up on the seat across from me. Then I turned to find out there was a scream. Where that scream had come from. Bless my soul, what did I find? A girl. Yeah. curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. I do wonder how you must be feeling, Mr. Naruhodo. Being the defendant's lawyer and yet finding myself as stunned as everyone else at his testimony. Let's just say it's trying. You certainly had precious little time to talk to Mr. McGilder before the trial. But we mustn't be dispirited. We must try to learn all the facts we can. When we arrived in London this morning, I didn't see my day planning out like this. Mr. Naruhodo, no grumbling, even in your head. How did you know? She's very observational, okay. Promptly nodded off. Loud thud. Okay, let's hear what that thud was. A loud thud, you say? And a scream? Aye, that's right. How can I explain it? 'Twas like the sound of someone falling to the ground. That sort of noise. So, you think it's the sound of Mr. Mason falling to the floor, having been stabbed? Well, now, you'll remember I was asleep at the time, so I wouldn't like to say. And when the sound woke me and I opened my eyes, there wasn't a soul to be seen in the carriage but the fellow on the floor. You didn't see anyone, but at the same moment you did hear a scream? From the seats above you on the roof deck, I presume? Not above me, no, my lord. 'Twas from the inside the cabin. But I wasn't altogether thinking about the scream. No, I was too stunned by the desperate sight before my eyes. There's a fella collapsed on the floor at my feet, so I sat him up on the seat across from me. Press. You set him up, the victim, you mean? That I did, on the seat across from me, as I said. Could plainly see the poor devil was already gone. And you wouldn't leave a dead man just lying on the floor now, would you? Just common courtesy, so it is. I find that a little hard to believe. Ah, Lord Van Zykes, why would that be? You wake to find a man lying dead at your feet in the carriage, and any normal person would hail the cabman. An upstanding member of London society, that is. Well now, as you know, I'm in something of a special line of business. The business of lending money at exorbitant rates of interest. Unfortunately, my lord, not everyone is thankful for the help I offer them. Some even see me dead. So I do try where at all possible to avoid getting myself entangled with trouble. Are you suggesting you were going to leave the man there? Heavens alive, no. I've always intended to report it, so I was. Only I had in mind to figure out whys and wherefores first. The whys and wherefores? Right you are. There are some details I wanted to understand before anyone else got meddling. That wee scream I heard, for example. Wouldn't your good self do just the same? Yes, the scream, he says, he heard at the same time as the thud of the victim collapsing. Then I turned to find out where that scream had come from, and bless my soul, what did I find? It's a child in there, all curled up in a ball, hiding her wee self away. Okay, let's press that. You say she was hiding herself? Aye, that's right. 'Twas hard to see in the dim lamplight, but she was all curled up in a wee ball. When our eyes met, well, my heart nearly stopped beating in my chest. You really overacting in this? Still and all, I pulled her out from under there, and sat her on the seat opposite so I could have a wee chinwag with her. The seat opposite? That's right, next to the dead gentleman there. You sat this next to a Well, as I'm sure I mentioned, a gentleman in my position can all too often find himself in mortal danger. So, I needed to find out just who this urchin was, you see. And while I was in the middle of talking with her, I heard another scream, a fellow's voice this time. Presumably that scream was Mr. First, who was sitting on the roof deck seats. Right you are again, I would say, sir. Looking down from the skylight, You must have seen this young girl and the gentleman with the knife in his belly. In other words, the previous witnesses did not in fact see you at all, Mr. McGill did. What they believed to be yourself and the victim was in fact this girl and late Mr. Mason? Aye, my lord. I was, as I think everyone understands now, sat at the back of the carriage out of sight. What? I guess it's possible. It's certainly plausible. The defendant is somewhat diminutive in stature, and steadily confused perhaps with his young girl. After that, of course, with the scream of the gentleman over us, the driver realized something was wrong and pulled up the horses. So I wonder how you must be feeling, Mr. Naruhodo. Being the defendant's lawyer and yet finding myself stunned as everyone else at his testimony. Let's just say it. Yeah, okay, we read that before. Skip. Okay, let's see. Promptly nodded off. Okay, let's just press that. When we first got onto the omnibus, were there any other passengers already on board? There were not. The cabin was empty and there was no one on the roof deck either. You were the first passenger, as it were, I see. Aye, and that's why I took the backside, as I did. 'Tis the most comfortable. So it is. Could you explain exactly what you mean by the back seat? By all means. This is how you already described it earlier. I'm talking about the seat opposite to the one in which the poor gentleman who was stabbed was sitting. Like you said, just the most comfortable, where I feel most at ease. And of course, I enjoy gazing through the skylight from time to time as well. Loud thud. Fell out collapse. Okay. I'm just gonna press it just in case. I'm afraid I don't understand. I'm sure you told the court that there was no one else in the carriage except yourself and the victim. So I did, sir, so I did. As far as I could see, that is. What do you mean by that? Well now, 'tis a queer thing. The wee scream I heard as I woke up, it came from, if you will excuse me the vulgar expression, under my backside. Behind him. So, under his butt. When I lifted the seat on which I'd been sitting, I found there was a wee cubbyhole there for storage. Mr. Naruhodo, we can examine the omnibus ourselves, remember? Yes, of course. The whole bus was submitted as evidence. This should be a very good time to have a thorough look around inside. And that's when I found her. I've heard enough. Events is explained and clear in my mind, however, at least one conundrum remains. Who is the girl? She's kind of scared to say it. Her name is Gina Lestrade. Lestrade? She's a chancer. Has her crest among large crowds, relieving people of their purses. Oh, Ambassador, for Christ, good to see you. Taking a quick break, thought I'd say hello. Well, I'm glad you're taking a break and able to pop in. If you need any prayer requests, let me know. Right now we're just in the middle of a game where it's super chill. We can chat anytime. But so we found a little thief, actually. This girl is a petty thief. Pray for your sanity. Is there anything more specific or a way I can definitely pray for that. If you want. The extreme Miss Lestrade. Miss Lestrade, you will answer the question. So she has a smoke bomb. How dare you? What's the meaning of this? Ah, the girl, she's gone. Open your eyes. I'm over here. Alright. Ambassador says, just have a full agenda trying to get a lot of things accomplished in a short amount of time. What up, dude? We're playing some Ace Attorney Chronicles. right now we found out that there's a girl on board a moving carriage, and the guy to the right, so this is Gina, and the guy to the right, Mr. McGilded, is accused of murdering a passenger, and we just found out her name. But Ambassador saying that he has a full agenda and needs some prayer for that. I hope you're doing well, Carlito. Let me know if you need anything prayer for, and if you have any cool things happening, let me know. Excuse me. All right, we're gonna go pray. Dear Holy Father, thank you so much for this day. We love you and appreciate you for all you've done for us. And I don't know what exactly Ambassador for Christ's agenda is for today, but he has a lot on his plate. God, would you give him the energy and the resolve to do it all that he needs to do reasonably and safely for his family, for his kids. God, I ask that you give him a wonderful time today after that, and that he'll be able to rest up and have a great weekend. Yeah, God, I'd love to ask you to continue to bless his work, sharing the gospel with other people, and yeah, God, would you work in all of us to honor you in all that we do. I also pray for Carlito, Debo, and Radically Reformed. I pray for all of us to continue to serve you and love you in a God-honoring way, whether in school or in work, or hanging out with friends or with newcomers. God, teach us to love you and others. I pray all this in Jesus' name. Amen. Alrighty. See what Gina is doing. Good gracious, how? What was the point in that little sidestep? I know what a lot you're thinking. Grown-ups are all the same. This dirty little dipper, you say, slipped up and got caught on the job. She got herself backed into a corner, so she knifed the gent. Go on, that's what's in your heads, ain't it? No, not at all. This is a court of law. We're here to determine the truth, not cast... No problem, Ambassador for Christ. Look, knives are for cowards. Only thugs use weapons like that. All I need for what I do is these fingers. I'm a professional, alright? Maybe not in your eyes, but I got pride in what I do. Need to get back to work. If I rest too long, I will fall asleep. Alright. I hope that you get perked up and get ready to get your day going. So, reminder, stealing is against God's law too. Thanks so much for popping by. Alrighty. Let me guess, you don't count smoke guns among weapons for thugs? Oh, this? Yeah. This was in the bag I lifted the other day. Down where they keep four-wheeled drags. I don't know what that means. It's nice, isn't it? I like the pink best. Don't wave that thing in my direction again. So, you admit that you were riding the omnibus on the night in question? Is this alright, lass? You can tell them the truth now. Alright, yeah. It's just like the Irishman said. Okay, so there's 5 people on this bus. The court accepts this girl as a valid, significant witness in this case. According to this young lady, we now hear your testimony. You will tell the court exactly what happened in the omnibus in question. Alright, if I have to do. if I have to. What the girl saw. So I snuck inside the carriage before they looked up the horses, just like always. But it was a right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. I tell ya, I can't be a blind thing in that hiding place. It's pitch in there. And after a while, I hear this loud bang. Nearly jumped out me skin, I did, and the scream just came out. It's because that this swell found me. He did help me get away, mind. What? He let you go? Fail to understand why we'd let this street urchin go, Mr. McGilded. Oh, 'tis simplicity itself, my lord. You see, she couldn't possibly have killed the other passenger. I knew that for a fact. How? As I'm sure I said before, sir. So she was hiding under his seat. So I was sitting right on top of the place where she was hiding herself. I think a demonstration is called for. So you open the seat. This is where I sat that night, and the cubbyhole of which you have spoken is underneath the seat, I presume. I'm getting hungry. I'm gonna take a few bites. Some free ramen time. Nom nom nom. Yes, it does appear just large enough to accommodate someone of the girl's stature. Aye, but of course, the wee lass was stuck in there. Because I parked myself on the seat for the duration. Ah, so you see, that's why I let the lass bolt. I knew that if the police found her there, they'd automatically assume she'd done it. But I couldn't live with myself with a young life was ruined when all the time I knew she was innocent. Even though you must have realized your action would result in your own innocence being called into question. Not at all, my lord, not at all. I knew in my own heart that I was innocent. So I thought it was worth taking a punt for my own good name for the sake of this less fortunate lass. My goodness, what a perfect gentleman. My lord, this fine example of a man I cannot be possibly guilty of a heinous crime like this. I'm ashamed of myself for ever doubting you, sir. Well, is he not guilty now? With calm and calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Wow. Did we beat the case? Saints alive! All 6 members of the jury consensual in their leaning of the verdict of not guilty. Well, that changed a lot. Mr. Naruhodo, well, it must mean what? That we're victorious. I don't think so. Van Zykes is gonna get his revenge, right? You won? Are you sure? Van Zykes is gonna get his heyday. If the sight of my iron-heeled Wellington offends prey, do forgive the discursed courtesy. This really is a consummate example of the one memento flaw in the British judicial practices. Where evidence and reasoning should be paramount, emotion rules the day. Emotion? Excuse me? The witness' latest statement gives us a clear insight into his true nature. What do you mean, his true nature? Do you really think Scotland Yard would have made such a glaring omission? After the incident, the omnibus was comprehensively searched by the officers of the police. Obviously, the interior of this cubbyhole, as the witness put it, was included in their investigation. The compartment under the posterior seat was full of the coachman's belongings. It's noted in the back black and white in the police report. Good lord, the evidence had been tampered with. In order to corroborate Mr. McGilton's story, someone has unlawfully removed everything from under the seat. What? Order. How could such a devious contrivance possibly have been effected, counsel? Naturally, we must acknowledge the deficiencies of the constabulary in allowing this to have happened. However, I assure you that when the omnibus was wheeled into the courtroom this morning, the compartment under the seat was not empty. Well, my Nipponese friend... Me? When the carriage was submitted as evidence, doubtless you examined it in fine detail as any most self-respecting practitioner of the law would. Pray, what did you find in the condition of underseat compartment to be? Well, it's filled. Oh, to be sure. The young gentleman would be able to clear this up in a jiffy. Sorry? Go ahead. You tell the court now, fella. How this is all an elaborate excuse by the desperate Lord Van Zykes. Well, counsel, do you have something to say on this matter? Well, sort of. How am I supposed to answer? What can I say about the state of the little compartment or the seat of the omnibus? It wasn't empty. At least. When I first examined the apartment, I'm fairly certain there were a number of articles inside it, yes. Are you sure, counsel? I'll be whist. What are you saying now, you daft dog? I thought you were on my side here. Right, but that's the truth, right? What game are you playing? Your task is to defend the man in the stand. Why would you say something to compromise his position? Because it's the truth? It matters? As the advocate for the defense in this trial, I confess I'm still not entirely sure where I stand. No problem, Godfuzz. Appreciate it. But it seems to me that I should state with the facts I do know as clearly as honestly as possible. Interesting. 'Tis not altogether pleasing, fella. I simply am telling the truth, Mr. McGilton. Well, don't forget that you're supposed to be representing me best interests here, lad. I need like a tiny chair. Like, even closer. Now then. A fellow's memory is a curious thing, not altogether reliable. No, the court must consider the facts. That there is a cubbyhole underneath the seat. As empty as the devil's heart, so it is. Do you think perhaps it would be in your best interest to now admit that you might have been mistaken? Why do I feel something's not right here? I'd like the jury to weigh in on this matter, I think. The compartment is designed to have equipment used to maintain the smooth running of the carriage. Guild rules state that omnibuses should be properly and fully equipped at all times, so it certainly wouldn't have been empty on the night in question. Beppo isn't that irresponsible. That money lending fleecer and the pick purse are lying. Oh no. What are we doing? I can't believe I was nearly taken in. The stinking rich are always stinkers. Nothing but cowards, and a lot of them. What? Oh no. It's a trick, of course. It's a trick. Here we go again. Quite so. I must concur here. With calm, calculated reasoning, one arrives clearly at the truth every time. Yeah, so every time a different truth, it seems. That's hilarious. My lord, I humbly exhibit the skills of justice. Clearly, a verdict of not guilty at this time would not be wholly inappropriate. Thank you, counsel. But before we proceed any further, there is a matter of outstanding cross-examination. Counsel for the defense, begin your questioning of the witnesses, please. Yes, my lord. What just happened? The whole balance of the trial just shifted, almost beyond recognition. The rapier of the Bailey is at work, it would seem. So I snuck inside the carriage before they looked up the horses just like always, but it was right old waste of time. I got nothing to show for me troubles that night. Tell you can't see a blind thing in the hiding place. It's pitch in there. Right, so it's dark, right? So you couldn't see out into the cabin at all? Not a jot. Most days I push the cushion up weave me in to look at the crack, but then I can't have a butcher's at who I'm gonna fiddle. Then I can have a... I thought you were a pickpocket, not a butcher. I mean, I can have a look. The seat I get under ain't as plush as the other one, see? So most of the time, the passengers plant themselves opposite. For some reason that night, this Irishman spent the whole journey right over me head. For that reason, you weren't able to push the cushion up to peek up, I see. Truth is, I ain't too happy in the small, dark places. Feels too much like being thrown in the chink. But it's the only place to hide in them carriages, so it's Obson's choice. Why doesn't she stick to picking people's pockets in the open then? I'd say there's some reason she's not letting on, judging from her demeanor. So anyways, I was a bit scared, but I just to get out there, nothing else for it. And after a while, I hear a loud bang, nearly jumped out my skin I did, and the scream just came out. Press. When you say a loud bang, do you mean the noise of someone falling on the floor? Could have been, I suppose. I don't remember so well. Point is, it made me jump. And you let out a scream involuntarily? That's right. And then I felt a cushion over me. It had lighter all of a sudden. Presumably that's when the defendant got up in order to help the victim, yes? Or not. It could have equally been the moment accused stood in order to stab his victim, could it not? Well, girl, did you see what happened at that crucial moment? Yeah, I saw it. I pushed up the cushion in a quick butcher's while I had the chance in. The Irishman was sitting up the bloke. What had fallen on the floor on the seat opposite. That matches Mr. McGilda's account, of course. But then, the fellow suddenly turns around and looks at me. I sunk back down again. It was too late by then. I should never have risked looking. It was because of that this swell found me, and you did help me get away, mind. And when Mr. McGilda discovered you, he pulled you out from your hiding place? I was scared stiff. I was. He dragged me out and sat me down and on a seat and all. Next to the victim, Mr. Mason? Yeah, the bloke had a knife in his guts. He was still bleeding. Then the carriage lurched a bit, and he ended up falling onto me. Ugh, how awful. Pastor Tanner, what? Welcome aboard, Pastor Tanner, with the raid. I really appreciate it. I'm playing Phoenix Wright not Phoenix, right? The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, and I'm Yoshi OST. You can call me Andrew, and we just finished reading our daily reading plan for the 1 Year Bible. I hope you're doing well. What were you up to, Pastor Tanner? Were you still working on your sermon? I hope you're doing well. Hey, Sir Jazila, good to see you. We almost, right now, in our quest for the discovery of who murdered this guy who was a brickmaker. Ah, oh, nice. What was your sermon on this week? Oh, thanks for the follow, Rizzy Cat. Welcome aboard. Yeah, so we found out this new character. We found our 5th passenger on board this moving carriage. Who, in the moving carriage, we got a murder mystery. And Mr. McGillid, to our right, he's been accused of being the murderer. He's a really rich what do you call it? Person who gives a lot of his wealth away. And yeah, super neat. Psalm 8, the rightful rulers. What does Psalm 8? Psalm 8. What is that? Oh, right. I remember this. I was hearing you say this. Yeah, you were covering this and you were reading a lot of different sources. I really like it. Hopefully I can catch the VOD, because I was actually interested in seeing what you got. Right. What is man that you are mindful of him? Amen. Yeah. What is man? What is man? Makes me think of kind of like Job. When it talks about what does God know and what does man know. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, I definitely hope to catch it. So yeah, we got Gina, who's a petty thief apparently, who steals from people in a carriage or something. And this rich dude. We actually had an interesting conversation yesterday on how to judge a rich person. I have a friend who, well, I don't know if we're super close friends yet, but we were talking about how would we judge Joel Osteen if he was a person who did a lot with, he has spent a lot of his money on his riches, and this guy spent money on his riches too. And what do you think? Should we prejudge them for what they're doing? Like, are they allowed to spend their money on extravagant things? And I think what's really important is, are they able to serve God? And even if we feel jealous about how they spend their money, I think that what's important is, are they able to love others and love God? And do they know God? And we can't just hold them to an impossible standard and say, oh, this guy's greedy because he uses money. That maybe they earn the money righteously. And so you have to judge them not according to their riches, but according to what they do with their life. And we can judge them by their fruits. Yeah. And so I just found it interesting because in this case, a lot of the jury at the very beginning really hated how he got his money. So he is a person who loans out money, and so those are kind of like bankers and stuff like that. And they felt like he was cheating people of his money and spending his wealth to influence people. But then at the same time, he's been helping a lot of people. Like, he donated a park to the town that he lived in. He was giving people help to, I don't know, he thinks he's helping people with loans. So it's not so easy to judge a person just because we feel like they're rich, so they have a duty to do something. But we can't use those arguments to instantly jump to, okay, he's guilty of murder just because he's rich. Because then we in God's law, we aren't called to be prejudiced against someone for being rich or poor. We shouldn't be accepting bribes, but we also shouldn't be like treating people differently in law. And which is a challenge if the law is unable to be properly applied to the rich and poor. It's kind of complicated sometimes. Sometimes because of the way the law is set up, it makes it harder for people to come unbiased and judge properly. So it's a very interesting topic that they're putting in this trial. Yep. Very cool. Very cool indeed. Both me and both my hands got covered in blood. So the dead person was sitting beside the Gina, because this rich person, the Mr. McGilded, pulled her out from under her hiding spot. She's a petty thief. Sit her right next to the dead guy, but the dead guy falls on her. She gets covered in blood. And both their hands covered in blood. Well, that must be what the rooftop passenger saw. After that, I believe he talked with Mr. McGilded for a while. Is that correct? He asked me some stuff. Wanted to know my name and what, and I was up to and up to and what. And then I heard something from above. Someone screamed, and that was the person who screamed was I believe maybe this guy, first guy, lady first. Yes, Mr. First on the roof deck. Well, I didn't want no one seeing my face, so I didn't look up. Then the horses were drawn up smartish, and this here Irishman says to me, "Get back under the seat. I'll see that you can get away later." Okay, so he re-hit her. So all 6 members of the jury had decided the defendant was innocent for one brief shining moment, yes. So a lot of the jury were flawed in their thinking, in their switching, because sometimes he was like, our defendant was convincing them with his logic of like he's doing this as altruistically, and so they saw that side of him. But that's why it's very interesting to have a jury make a judgment on character in this case. It's clear that they're all very unsure. If we could just find some conclusive piece of evidence that among this new testimony, I'm sure we could clinch the verdict we want. Yes, I think you're right. And I had this niggling feeling. Something's bothering me, but I just can't quite put my finger on it. Okay, so we're still missing something. So I snuck inside the carriage before they looked up, hooked up the horses just like always. Press. Okay. So you were already in the omnibus before it even set off on its run. Well, yeah, I mean, what's the point of spending a joey to make a few bob, eh? That's a rum idea, ain't it? So I guess she's talking about spending money to make money or something. I suppose she means there's no point spending money to make money. I got it. Actually makes sense. Counsel, may I remind you that this girl is a petty thief? Kindly refrain from entertaining her tenants. Well, that does clear up the little mystery of the fares and all. 4 paying passengers at 5 pence apiece, making the 20 to which the cabman testified. And one little scapegrace riding for free. The red conch of a driver always goes for some grub before its last run, see? So that's when I slip into the carriage and get myself in under the seat. Nice and easy, right? But your hiding place is a storage compartment full of equipment for the coach, no? Well, he probably doesn't need them, so... Yeah, there's brushes and buckets and whatnot in there, sure. I've always chucked all that out and crammed it in a corner somewhere. No one ever seems to bother much. And yet, according to the report filed by the police officer who arrived at the scene, so right now, so far, at first we found 4 people in the bus, and we find out that there's actually a person hiding in the bus. And she was hiding underneath the seat. And so we are trying to figure out why, when we got to the omnibus evidence, when we opened the seating, it was filled with stuff. And so we didn't believe that she could have hidden there. And so at first, we got the jury to flip all over to not guilty because the Mr. McGilded, the rich person, decided to help a petty thief out since he wouldn't believe that it was her. But then most of the conclusive evidence that make them change is very flimsy at best. So they need to figure out how to nail down getting a jury that really understands the whole case. So Von Zykes, he somehow pushed them all back to kind of equalize the jury vote. But yeah, we're almost done finding out who did it. But in reality, we haven't really figured out who did it. We've only found out who didn't do it in this case. But it's been very interesting because most of the cases that we've had so far, we didn't really need to find evidence beforehand leading up to the case. So we're kind of just thrown in and we discover kind of on the fly what the evidences are. And so it's a different, maybe they've shifted that in order to allow for more of the jury stuff to be introduced and not to like there's so much stuff to do, we have to investigate so much, and then after that we still need to fight the jury and all that with the witnesses. So they might have like shifted how much playtime is in each mechanic to kind of equalize it back. Compartment was full. Well, I don't know nothing about that. Like I said, I moved all that stuff out so I can hide under the seat. That's all I can tell you. Seems we've reached the end of that line of inquiry. Continue. Waste of time. Blind. Loud bang. He did help her get away. Did I press this already? Yeah. Yeah. How will we? Conclusive piece of evidence among this testimony. Yeah. Okay. Something's bothering me. What is it? Present. No. So, stuff removed out. I am kind of stuck. Sir Zeal, you got any ideas? Um, um, Autopsy, brickmaker stabbed, internal hemorrhaging. Go in. Well, let's open the door. Yeah. And this is empty now? Only just wide enough for two gentlemen to sit side by side. Of course, an English gentlewoman would be dressed in such finery it would be quite impossible for her to climb up to the roof deck, so she would have been seated in here. A woman in a kimono would have had the same problem. Women's clothes are very impractical, aren't they? What? Clickety, 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 click. I want to go like that. The handle, it's all empty. This storage compartment, but there's nothing in here. It's totally empty. Something doesn't seem right here, but I can't put my finger on what it is. Hmm. Blood soaked in the seat. Blood and that. Can't click on the floor. That's blood, isn't it? Right. Something wrong? Oh, it's just, well, this blood stain is so obvious that well, yet Van Dyke said made no mention of it. Suppose that does seem a little strange. Why do I have such a bad feeling about this? Hmm. Okay, so we did see blood that wasn't mentioned. Yeah, screen. Yeah, I saw it. I was pushed up because I had quick butchers while I had the chance, and I was sitting. Look had fallen on the floor, seat opposite. But then the fella turns around, looks right at me. Sunk back, risk looking. Uh, hmm.
Well, now. Excuse me.
Hmm. Something wrong, Mr. McGilded? Oh, I do apologize. Was there something the matter, Counsel? Just wondering, did Miss Straw's last comment make something occur to you, perhaps? You seem to be thinking about something to yourself. Oh, no, it was nothing important. I was feeling bad for the poor lass is all. I remember feeling desperate myself as a lad, shut up in the dark. 'Twas terrifying, so it was. I see, yes, I'm sure we can all sympathize. I'm so scared of the dark now. Hey, and I don't know about yourself, but I find that the darkness seems to make everything you hear seem much louder as well. Yeah, I suppose it does, maybe. Miss Lestrade, did you hear something that night? Anything an unusual noise, perhaps? She says no, not really. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Jappers, there's no need to tell the whole world of me foibles, you little scamp. What a pity. If only Miss Lestrade had heard something, it might have given us a vital new clue, yeah. Why should we make a last statement first? It's important? I believe that statement made by the witness is profoundly important. Profoundly important? But all she said was she heard nothing. Yes, which is profoundly more important. I'm sure of it. Very interesting. I'm almost sure that I don't understand the inner workings of your Eastern mind, Counsel. Nevertheless. Miss Gina Lestrade, you'll supplement your formal testimony by repeating that last statement, please. Oh, super rent? What are you talking about? Don't give me all your fancy talk. I know not you're trying to do. Well, it won't work on me. That's right. Insult the judge. Always a good move. I was straining my ears to work out what was going on, but all I could hear was snoring. And after a while, I hear there's a loud bang. Nearly jumped out me skin, I did. And the scream just... Okay, let's press it, I guess. If you were straining to hear what was happening the entire time since the moment you hid yourself? Not exactly. No, sorry. Well, there's no one in the cabin to start with. I could just push the cushion up and have a butcher's to see what was what. But then when I saw the swell getting on, it got me head down, so I didn't notice. Mr. McGilded sat on the seat under which you were hiding, correct? Yeah. Would you Adam and Eve it, eh? What a mug. So then all I could do was listen. I was waiting to jump out of there as soon as I heard him leave, see? Oh. But not likely. Excuse me? Let me ask you something, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would that be, Mr. Fella? Would you have something to say to the last statement? Not really. I'm altogether happy with all that's been said. Kind of you to ask, still and all. Here, have yourself a tip. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, let's go through again. Woody? Not likely. Even though he stopped here in air, I never heard the door open, so I just had to stay put and listen to him driving his bags to market, snoring like an old dog he was. Are there any conclusions we can draw? Oh, whatever. Well, what doesn't add up is there should be one more person. But he just told the court. It's clearly at odds with the facts. At odds? Are you sure, man? Absolutely. Is not as dull witness as I feared. So, Von Zykes really realized it too? Counsel, must insist that you bolster your claim with evidence, or some complicit party's name at least. Yes, my lord. I expect you to demonstrate this alleged contradiction to the court. According to Miss Lestrade, while she was hiding in the omnibus that night, she heard nothing but the sound of Mr. McGilda's snoring, but think... Well, she should have heard... I think there's a person, right? Who would have heard the guy? Would have heard, this guy. Yeah, the Mason dude. Oh, I can show a person. Let me elaborate. One particular sound that Miss Lestrade could not have failed to hear in the night in question. Yes, that guy. Thrice-fired Mason? Yep. Yes, my lord, the sound of Miss Lestrade cannot have failed to hear. Is that of the victim, Mr. Mason boarding on the omnibus. Right. Order. Explain your reasoning, counsel. Miss Lestrade, allow me to confirm something. You claimed earlier that you were the first person on board the omnibus, is that correct? Yeah, of course I was. I was on while the driver was in the pub, didn't I? And the next person to board the omnibus was Mr. McGilded? That it was. Not a soul in the cabin when I first climbed aboard. At least not in plain sight. So you were, to all intents and purposes, alone in the enclosed cabin of the omnibus at that time? Did I not say as much? I wasn't traveling with anyone else, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I saw him get on, remember? Through the crack under the seat cushion. He was on his own for sure. And from what we've heard, the carriage made its number of stops after that on its journey. During which time, did you not hear the door opening or closing at all? No, I never heard it. That's exactly what I've been listening for, weren't it? Waiting for the swell to leave? In which case... When and how did the victim end up in the carriage? We know that the victim collapsed inside the enclosed cabin of the omnibus. Therefore, Miss Lestrade's statement about what she did or did not hear is at odds with the facts. This petty thief's statement is clearly flawed. Lord Van Zykes? Yes, he knew. He knew all too well that there was an inconsistency with Miss Lestrade's statement. Ha 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 ha. Cat? It would seem the world of thanks are in order for my learned friend. What are you talking about? You've demonstrated matters impeccably. This witness and her colorful statements are entirely unreliable. Her words are convenient untruths, nothing more. Yikes. Hmm. How could the victim possibly not have boarded the omnibus? That makes no sense whatsoever. This girl is a pickpocket. Let's not forget that. Uh-oh. We'll have to double cross-examine them. For sure. I didn't want the judge to judge the dear little mite just because she has some rather naughty ways, but I must say, I can't abide liars. Neither can I. Mr. Foreman? I didn't want just to go just because she has some less than salubrious ways. I must say, I can't abide liars. They're coming with a presumption that she's lying, though. I don't know. That's 5 jury members leaning towards guilty. Oh, we're getting back. We're gonna do it. Well, your consideration for others is refreshing, Nibbanese friend. To the considerable troubles you've spared me. Yes, very refreshing. Yeah. Oh no. What are you playing at? Have you forgotten who you're working for, you useless Eastern Amadon? This is carnage. It's perfect. Juror number 2 is the only one left. Mr. Naruhodo, this way, the way it's going. I know if we can't find any new way to convince everyone Mr. McGilder's innocence, the judge will rule and we'll have lost. Very much wanted to believe the words of one of London's most respected gentlemen, but those of us in service know we must accept hard truths. Hold it. Yes, the witness' last statement seems to have revealed a critical inconsistency in her story. However, if we consider the possibility that her statement is in fact the truth, this may shed an entirely new light on this whole case. What are you saying? Counsel? I'm sorry, sir. Whatever do you mean? Counsel, I will not tolerate you attempting to prolong my adjudication. Explain yourself at once. Excuse me. When the accused aboard the omnibus on the night in question, the victim was nowhere to be seen. Subsequently, the carriage door was not heard opening a single time, as testified by the witnesses in the stand. And yet the victim's body was found inside the carriage. If this petty thief's words were to be believed, how do you explain the victim's miraculous appearance inside the cabin of the omnibus? Interesting. Came to be inside the carriage. Maybe he was placed from the sky? He was in there already from beforehand. Tell me, my learned friend, what was in the function that clearly in your last sentence? Well said, Lord Van Zyke, so clearly it's troubling me also. No, that's really not the point. The point is that the victim must have been in the carriage beforehand. Then answer me this. By beforehand, to what specific point in time are you referring? Before she went onto the bus. right? No! We got it wrong. We're gonna get a game over. Let's go for an opening. It's another entrance. The door wasn't open even once. The only explanation is that the victim entered the enclosed cabin some other way. I wonder what new fantasy you'd come up with your blind panic. But behold, the omnibus is here for all to see. Only one side of the enclosed cabin is furnished with a door, and the only other has windows. Fixed windows, which can't possibly open. In short, there's no entrance in the cabin other than the door. But there could be. There's one possibility you haven't considered. Oh, really? One other way inside that isn't the door, which allowed the victim to appear inside the enclosed cabin. Is it the window at the top? We're gonna guess here. The answer is obvious. It's only been the skylight. The skylight? Your ludicrous proposal almost has me lost for words. However, the skylight may have been well large enough for someone to pass through. So you claim, but do you have any shred of evidence to support your addle-brain theory? Both Mr. McGilded and Miss Lestrade said the same in their testimonies. They each claimed to have heard a loud thud, such as a noise made by someone falling to the floor. Yes, which has already been explained as the sound of the victim falling from his seat having been assaulted with a dagger. Yes, it has, but would a man slipping from the seat of the floor really make such a loud noise as the witnesses describe? A noise loud enough to cause Miss Lestrade to let out an involuntary cry, in fact? Good gracious. Perhaps, in fact, that was the moment the victim made his entrance into the cabin. Let me rephrase that. The victim didn't enter the cabin as such. He fell into it. You're now suggesting that the victim fell from the skylight into the cabin? That's simply impossible. How can you be sure? Because if the victim had fallen inside through the skylight, as you say, passengers on the roof deck would have seen it happen. And yet not one person made mention of the events in this testimony. What if it was all conspired? Might a humble fella make a wee comment here? Mr. McGilded? To be sure now, the two fellows who were sat on the roof that testified for said nothing about the victim falling through the skylight, but it seems to me, my lord, that 'tis not so much a case of them not saying, but... a case of them being unable to say. What? I think perhaps the two fellas. Do you be having something to do a compelling reason not to mention what happened? Would you not agree, fine ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Oh my, surely not. Those two chaps on the roof? You mean the ones who stuck the knife in the man were... Ah! Hold it. Ooh. Just what exactly are you insinuating here, you blitherer? You rotter? He said, you rotter? What are you insinuating? This is a flaming outrage. I have a good mind to give you a blinker in a minute. They'll give you a shiner in a minute, he said, and so will I. Mr. Fairplay? You're effectively accusing me. A city gentleman and a well-respected banker. And me, a very angry hatter. Suggesting that someone like me could have stabbed that man in the guts, it's a disgrace. It's scandalous. I protest in the strongest possible terms. That's right, I protest too about you, you rotten scoundrel. Interesting. Order, order, order. This is not the time, witnesses. I'll not permit this wanton invasion of the stand. Return to the anteroom at once. But this is beyond reason, my lord. It's outrageous. It's very hurtful, you know. My lord, if I may comment? Go ahead, Lord von Zykes. It was the defense that incited this outburst from the witnesses. I learned friend has seen fit to abandon all protocol and accuse the witnesses without proof. Accuse? I would never intend to. It seems, young Nipponese, that your command of the English tongue is wanting. You proposed to this court that the victim fell through the skylight from the roof deck of the omnibus. That hypothesis could not possibly stand without the rooftop passengers being aware of the events. You've branded these gentlemen liars. You've intimated their criminal guilt. It's true. In our British courts of law, that's what term a baseless accusation. I know I was rash to put this idea forward without actual evidence, but you can't just dismiss it without a second thought. What are you wasting time for? Getting them to testify. I thought there was something fishy about that hat from the moment I laid eyes on the fellow. I have to see this matter through now, one way or another. If there's a fifth filth and rubbish in our midst, we must dispose of it at once. Testify. Testify. What's happening? Mr. Naruhodo, the spectators in the public gallery they're in complete frenzy. Order. No order. Mr. Fairplay, Mr. First, my lord? You'll take the stand again and make another formal testimony, in reference to the indictment brought by the defense. Yes, my lord. I didn't come here for this. There's no time to think this through. All I can do is keep pushing forward. Let's do it. We were the only two people up on that roof, dead or alive, I can swear to that. If anything had happened there, where we were sitting, don't you think one or the other of us would have noticed? In any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man. Actually, we have a contradiction on that. The skylight was shut the entire time, I tell you. We couldn't possibly have opened it. If you're so sure the victim fell through the skylight, where's your proof? Well, we got something. It is somewhat hard to imagine how either witnesses could have performed any malevolent act on this open rooftop deck without the other noticing forthwith. That's right, you see? We're innocent, I tell you. Although logically, of course, the argument falls down if the two of you were in collusion with one another. What? Eh? According to the investigations of Scotland Yard, the two witnesses share no common dealings. Huh. Well, I don't trust coppers any more than I trust the stinking rich. Something doesn't feel right here. The trial's going in our favor, really, but so why do I feel so uneasy? Counsel for the defense, over to you. Your cross-examination, please? Oh, yes, my lord. Okay. Maybe one of them just had the perfect alibi? I don't know. Viewing the accusation. You were the only two people up on the roof, dead or alive, I can swear to that. If anything had happened, you were sitting, don't you think one of us would have noticed? You were the only two people in any case, neither of us know the first thing about the victim. We had no reason to kill the man. Ooh, right. Is that so? Yep. Well, I guess they're just full up. Move M or W. Maybe their hat. Okay, we'll have to press all of the things. Very interesting. Hey Abel, good to see ya. I hope you're doing well. How are you? How was your night? Dun, dun, dun. Right now, we're trying to find out whether these two were in on dropping a murdered victim into a moving carriage. Ooh, you got 2 jobs. Ready for both jobs. Did you mention that you got a new job recently or something? I don't remember. I think you like posted something on Discord. Nice. Well, I hope you're able to handle it. That's pretty cool. Do you mind if I pray for that? Yeah, I would consider all this social stuff kind of like a hobby or like an extracurricular thing. Could be a job if you make it, I guess. Never met rice-fired mason before, huh? Not once, never. Ooh, okay. And you, Mr. First, had no prior dealings with the victim either? That's right, sir. Hatters don't have much to do with brickmakers, to be honest. Nope, I imagine not. You see how many different ways I could put this? Neither of us have the remotest connection with the gentlemen who were inside the cabin. Oh, this guy is thinking of something again. Mr. McGilded? Yes, counsel, what can I be doing for you? Did the witness last statement give you pause for thought or somehow? Not the remotest connection? Is that right now? I wonder. What are you insinuating now? I got my main job to pay for everything, Abel Garcia says, and my second job to help me move and YouTube to help others. That's really cool. Very thoughtful. Well, let me pray for that. Gonna head out since I need to head to work soon. Okay. Dear God, thank you so much for bringing Abel here today. I pray for uh, your guidance in him as he works on his YouTube channel and his other jobs. Pray that you continue to help him honor you and to help him be a light in this world. God, I pray for his moving and all of this work, that you'll continue to give him safety and to make new friends and new coworkers that will get to know you. Yeah, I pray for this day that he'll honor you throughout the rest of the week. I give all of this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. No problem. Appreciate it, and maybe we can chat maybe on Sunday night. Yeah, thank you. Mr. Fairplay, it has been too long, so it has. Yeah? If I'm not very much mistaken, I believe 'tis fast approaching, is it not, your repayment date? I beg your pardon? You borrowed 20 guineas from me, sir. At an unconscionable rate of interest, you tricked me. Is it? It's extortion. Well now, is that a touch of begrudgery, is it? The sort of begrudgery that might motivate a fellow to pass his crimes off on another. And young Mr. First. Me, sir? What do you want with me, sir? You do be making hats for a living, do you not? And there's a top hat sliding about on your head. Is that one of your own creations, is it? Oh, well, I'm just an apprentice, you understand. I'm learning to find the perfect fit for whatever fine gent walks through the door. The perfect fit, is it? It's very distinctive design, so it is. Many customers like it, I tell ya. They like a distinctive touch. Customers, such as Thrice-Fired Mason. There's a photographic print of the victim submitted as evidence before my lord. You mean... Can't help but thinking that poor fellow's hat looks distinctly familiar. Wouldn't you say? That's one of my hats. Hey, that is, so it would seem the brickmaker was a customer of yours. The sort of customer I'd wager you could have had. We quarrel with over the distinctiveness of the goods. Oh no, sir, absolutely not, sir. Well, there's really nothing more to add. It wouldn't be right to say that the two fellows here haven't the remotest connection to the victim, you see. Very devious. I rest my case. You little weasel. He's better at this than I am. Mr. McGill has certainly been thorough in his research, hasn't he? Please, don't let me little interruption hold up the proceedings. Skylight was shut the entire time, I tell ya. We couldn't possibly opened it. What do you mean? Are you quite certain about that? That the skylight was shut the entire time? I'm going to lose my block with you in a minute. He's going to lose his rag with you in a minute. That's what he said. Take a look for yourself. Go on. You see? It's shut fast now, just like it was on the night. So it is, of course. A fellow the size of Mr. Mason could likely break right through it, still and all. What? Just looking at the size of the thing, you understand? Hey, hold on here a minute. The size of the thing means nothing. Not on its own. Let's consider the bigger picture here, shall we? Let's stop biting arcane, shall we? I was riding the omnibus on another occasion when, well, I broke wind loudly, and I shocked myself with it, as it happens. This is an unexpected confession, Mr. First. Oh, I just meant to say, well, the point is, I tried to open the skylight, you see. But it's just my luck I couldn't make it budge. The stench was terrible. Everyone was looking daggers at me, sir. I went as red as rouge, I did. Are you expecting me to sentence you? Oh no, sir, the point is, the skylight can't be opened. I tried and tried when I was inside the cabin of shame. The skylight doesn't open, you say? So that proves it. We couldn't have kicked the victim down into the cabin below, tell ya? Neither of us could. Nobody mentioned anything about kicking anyone. Like I said, these details are little nuggets at best. It's the mother lode we should be looking for. I wonder if these two men really were involved in some way. I can't say, I don't really know anything about them, do I? Though by the same token, I don't really know anything about Mr. McGilded either. It's so hard to know what to believe here. I think we should try to remember what evidence alone can truly determine the outcome of trial. Evidence. No one can argue against decisive evidence, including the members of the jury. So you're saying that what we need now is to find a conclusive piece of evidence. Yeah, I think we're gonna do the ground blood. Yep, if anything happened, if we're on two people, if there are any, neither of us would have killed the man, skylight shot. Proof he fell. Okay, let's present the thing though. We present. That reveals a damning inconsistency. The last statement. I see you're trembling your hand. Your proud expression. Your expressed pride of the brow. I don't know what that. See, that's the inconsistency there. With the misplaced confidence of your assertion. Use a condemning tongue. You invited it, sir. Okay, we have to press it all then. We haven't really done that. So at no time did the victim, Mr. Mason, climb up to join you on the roof deck? Absolutely not, Dickon. No question about it, he said. None at all. Oh, but yes, of course. I remember seeing them both. I saw the victim inside the enclosed cabin talking with this man here. Is this true, Mr. McGilded? Dear me, my lord. At the risk of repeating myself, I boarded the omnibus alone and nodded off inside it almost immediately. That's an outright lie without doubt you were engaged in. Let me stop you there, fella, and ask, do you have any evidence at all? At all? It's all about evidence in the courts these days, so it is. You do well to remember that. I saw you with my own eyes. This is going so well. So what do you mean? Well, it was on the final run of the omnibus at past 10 o'clock in the evening. It would certainly have been quite dark, perhaps. Too dark to see clearly? Is this some kind of lark? Is this some kind of practical joke, he said? Is that what this is? Or perhaps one or the other of you fell briefly? Fell asleep? Are you a dark dinkum, sir? Are you serious, sir? That's what he said. It's impossible, I tell ya. He's repeating him. I gave you the keys to the vault if you could fall asleep in that bitter cold. If you didn't manage it, your eyelids would freeze shut and you'd never open them again. That's extreme. It was extreme, I tell you, and we had to put up with it because this man had locked the door. Any true gent would have unlocked it and let me in when I knocked. I'm readily sorry about that, young fella. But you see, I was away with the fairies, and I didn't hear you at all. That's a lie. I saw you through the glass. You were talking to someone. Now, 'twas a cold night, so it was. People do be seeing things that aren't real in the cold. 'Tis hardly surprising. Seeing things? Man, this is not going well. We might have reached an impasse here on this particular point. You... Don't take it personally, lad. I'm I'm suspect I'm a suspect in this case, and it's only fair that you and the other Fiend are too. Open and free competition is what capitalistic society is all about. This isn't a competition I would like to be involved in, really. In any case, neither of us would know the first thing about the victim, okay? The skylight was shut. I tell you, couldn't possibly open it. And if you're so sure, where's the proof? You already went in though. Quite large, isn't it? Quite large enough to afford a good view from the roof deck. Suppose it can't be opened from inside, at least. That's blood, isn't it? It's just, well, that's so obvious. Yeah, okay. Then back, let's go to the top of the cabin. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. And there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin. I'm sure the witness could have been able to see quite clearly. That's not good for us. But is there a lock opening? Hmm. Internal hemorrhaging resulted from the trauma. Hmm. We can look at the autopsy, I guess. There's clearly something odd about the last statement made by the witness. No, we got a game over, guys. No.
Guilty. Guilty.
They're saying guilty to me. No. Why? No. Ah. Thanks a good ladies and gentlemen of the jury for their swift and insightful contemplation. That's all. Court is adjourned. Can we go back? Uh-huh. Press them all. Dun dun dun. We press that.
Hold it.
Hmm.
Hold it. Well, now.
Hmm.
Hold it.
Yeah, let's just go back to that double press. Pursue.
Well, now. Excuse me.
Right. Do, 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 do. So we're gonna present this, maybe?
Objection.
Nope. They're stuck. Hmm. I don't want to get a game over again. Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Hold it.
Hmm. Size of the thing, nothing. Let's consider the bigger picture here. Let's start. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wait, that ain't.
Hmm. We didn't see that one. Do you have something to say about that, Miss Lestrade? Miss Lestrade? It opens. The skylight. It's what we're talking about, right? Oh, oh. All of skylights open. That easy. Can you load that? Oh. As I tell you, otherwise, can't do it from the inside, you mug. Oh? Look, a few weeks ago, I was up on the roof deck, none of them drags, and the Great Hall. I mean, Ed Bursa's come in and out my ears. Miss Lestrade, this is not the forum to be eulogizing on the subject of your criminal activities. Well, anyway, I had a bit of a scare. When I lifted the last bloke's purse, he got wise of me. All four of them surrounded me, so I couldn't hop off the bus and leg it. So what I did, I used the skylight, opened the catch, and jumped right through. What? Yeah, the catch from the skylights is on the top. That's why you can't open them from the cabin. The skylight opens from the roof deck. Bailiff, climb up onto the roof of the omnibus at once to verify the witness's claims. Ooh. Ooh. Oh my. Ah. See? Very interesting. Order, order, order. So it appears this street girl sentiment's quite true. Statement's quite true. I don't believe it. Skylight opens. I'm on the roof deck. Mr. Naruto. This could be the clue we're looking for. Well, counsel for the defense, please continue with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. So the skylight opens. Perhaps I should investigate for myself. Uh-huh. Maybe now I can check it? As criminals, you call us liar, that's what he means, accuse us of doing it, as it stands at the moment. There's no hard evidence that criminals yourselves now, is there? I believe we're in as much the same position as one another here. Huh? Yeah. If I don't crack this case soon, it'll crack his teeth. Hmm. Let's see. Let's go present. Mm. Let me finally. So the skylight was fastened shut before, but now the catch has been undone. We could be able to open it. Now let's look down. You can certainly see inside the carriage through this opening, that's for sure. And there's a lamp in the enclosed cabin, but I'm sure the witnesses would be able to see it quite clear. That's not good for us. I guess we can go inside now? Well, let's open the door and go inside. Yeah. Can't find anything out of place. Ooh. It does open very wide, doesn't it? Wide enough to kick someone like you through, certainly, Mr. Naruto. It's someone like me. What is it? Look, just here. Look at this. That's without question. It's blood. Why would there be bloodstain here? Surely it can't be unrelated to the case, can it? Actually, we can. Let's do it. Let's finally press that button. 1, 2, 3, and present.
Objection.
Finally done it. On the night in question, the victim was fatally stabbed in the stomach, and immediately afterwards, the victim's body was pushed through the skylight into the cabin below. Those are the facts, and the irrefutable proof. It means clearly visible in the omnibus that stands before us today in the very courtroom. That's an utter humbug. You can't possibly have any evidence. No, you can't. I mean, we didn't do it. I tell you, it's impossible. Irrefutable proof here in this courtroom. Counsel, my lord. I believe everyone should appreciate a little clarification here, huh? Where exactly within the omnibus is this evidence to which you allude? You'll point out what it is that proves the victim fell through the roof deck through the skylight. Uh... Uh... let's see. There we go. Why not to kick someone like you through, certainly. Why would someone like kick deep up? Nah, what? Look, just here, look at this. That's without question. It's blood. Why would it be there? Bloodstain there, surely. Can't be unrelated to this case, can it? Yet, we're presenting this, though. Present with R. God. By Jupiter, is that blood? This bloodstain proves two things. Firstly, when the incident occurred, the skylight of the omnibus was open. And secondly, the victim was already bleeding when he fell through the opening. And so it follows that Mr. McGilded, who was inside the enclosed cabin himself at the time, cannot possibly be guilty of this crime. Oh. You finally have it. Order, order, order.
Hold it.
But, the blood could have sprayed up there when the fellow was stabbed inside the cabin. Well, then it wouldn't, because it was open. And only found its way to that one particular spot on the skylight. Sure, and that would be very convenient. Let's keep it in mind that the skylight catch can only be unfastened from the roof deck. I myself wouldn't be able to open it now, would I? But, there's no way to know for certain, is there, if the gents really fell through the skylight, I mean. Why don't we have a good look at the floor of the cabin between the two seats, Mr. First? It's all too plain. If you see, there's an aftermath that shows a poor fella dropped from a fair height right there, so it is. Uh, let's see. What? No, but it can't be. It's all lies. My fellow jury members, I think we can all agree this is clear proof of the defendant's innocence, can't we? I believe we can. Yes, sir. It's clear to me now that the filthy rubbish can be found in this courtroom. I won't tolerate any of the guild carriages being sullied with blood. I won't tolerate it. Oh, I always knew that the nice gentleman who gave us that delightful park couldn't have done such a thing. On three, then, everyone. 1, 2, 3. 3.
Objection!
Ooh. A chilling performance, Mr. McGilded. Oh, and what would you be referring to there now, Lord Van Zykes? A bloodstain on the frame of the skylight? Such evidence is null and void. What? Why? For one extremely simple reason. That smear of blood never existed.
Objection!
What are you talking about? It's there for all to see. It's clearly blood.
Objection!
I personally attended Scotland Yard's investigation of the omnibus. The officers involved went over the carriage with a fine-tooth comb. So I can state with absolute surety no such smear of blood existed in the carriage. At least not until this trial began. But are you suggesting, Lord Van Zykes, that this stain of blood was fabricated, my lord? Yes. And while this court has been in session. What? What a palaver. I must say I didn't expect such a crude reasoning from a prosecutor of your standing, Lord Van Zykes. But I'm Magnus McGilded, a fellow known all over the world, over the capital of its fine contributions to public life. I don't take kindly to slander, and I'll fight it to the bitter end. Even if it's rolling off the tongue of the Reaper of Bailey. Mr. McGilded, I realize that this is your first appearance in court as the accused, however. I am well aware of your involvement behind the scenes in many many affairs of dubious nature. You're very adept when it comes to avoiding getting your own hands dirty. And each time it happens, that a case you're involved in is investigated. You adapt the facts. Adapt the facts? What does that even mean? When you wield a fortune the size of Mr. McGilded, however, ill-gotten may be, nothing is impossible. Tampering with evidence, manipulating the scene of the crime, bribing witnesses. I toast your ability to concoct the most convenient stories ever. Ah, Lord Van Zykes, this will not do, to be sure. Will it now, counsel? Huh? Oh, no. I think it's fair to say this does all sound a little rather far-fetched excuse by a desperate man. The blood on the skylight didn't exist, you say? But if you will all cast your minds back, is it not true that the omnibus has been there in the courtroom the entire time? How could anyone possibly put a smear of blood in it without the world and his wife seeing? Isn't that right now, counsel? It's true. The omnibus had been in full view the entire time that the court had been in session. My learned friend, we did have the smoke bomb thing. Here's to hearing your opinion on this matter in your own words. Could someone have tampered with the omnibus during this trial? If you're asking me, I think it could have been possible. Yeah, it's true. Yep, we have to. As a defense lawyer, it's my job to advocate for the defendants as best as I can. But still, I feel as though there's something even more important at stake here. There's no evidence to suggest that the defendant did as my learned friend suggests. However, in terms of having the opportunity to carry the alleged tampering, there's one possibility. Explain yourself, Counsel. Yes, there is. It seems my learned Nipponese friend has no intention of running from this deceit. Deceit? I'm sure everyone still remembers clearly the recess we were forced to take. As a result of the smoke grenade fired by the witness currently in the stand, Miss Lena Lestrade. What is going on? Be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Cover your face. Bailiff, don't let the accused escape. Secure the omnibus. I hereby call an emergency recess. Bailiff, ensure the defendants in custody clear the courtroom. The courtroom was filled with smoke, and everyone was thrown in confusion. All of us were made to leave the chamber. In that brief interval, under the veil of smoke and in all the chaos, it could have been possible to steal inside the omnibus. Stealing. Are you wise? What are you trying to pull, you rotten wreck, feckless gouger? You're supposed to be defending me. This is a wicked plot. This is a plot to undermine me, so it is. Whatever you think this is, it changes nothing. The facts are the same. After this courtroom was evacuated earlier as a result of the smoke grenade, a number of inconsistencies materialized in relation to the omnibus. Inconsistencies such as, to start with, the storage compartment underneath the rear passenger seat. When the police investigated the omnibus, this compartment was full of the driver's items. Secondly, we have the smear of the blood on the edge of the skylight. As I have said, that was not present at the start of this morning. It's true. Unfortunately, Lord Van Zykes, no one's able to corroborate your claims. That's true. When the omnibus was first wheeled out, both the storage compartment and the skylight were shut. Accordingly, I'm afraid to say we can't establish with any certainty if this evidence is a result of tampering or not. Indeed, my lord. No doubt there was not a single person who saw fit to verify such things. What do you think? Sorry? About this omnibus. Is there anything else unusual about the omnibus? Look at it. My lord. There's one further inconsistency. Mark that surely couldn't have been present at the start of the trial. What are you trying to say now? If you dare betray me, you little maggot, you'd better start watching your back. Silence, Mr. McGilded. The court awaits the defense's clarification. The trial keeps swinging one way and then the other. No idea what the truth is and what's deception. What am I supposed to believe here? I shall ask you to elaborate, counsel. Where exactly does Elijah Margu claim to appear at some point during the trial? That's blood, isn't it? Is something wrong? Oh, it's just, well, this blood stain's so obvious, it's... Yeah, the Van Zykes made no mention of it. Supposedly it does seem a little strange. Why do I have a bad feeling about this? If we consider that the victim fell through the skylight onto the floor of the cabin, you'd certainly expect to find signs of blood where he landed. But as far as I recall, This blood stain on the cabin floor was not there when the omnibus was first brought into the courtroom. Oh no. I do believe you're correct, counsel. Well said. Although, as an advocate for the defense, one might say it was very careless slip of the tongue. I believe that the bloodstain on the floor is a decisive piece of evidence. But if the question is whether or not the evidence is genuine or whether it was unlawfully fabricated by someone, I feel compelled to admit there's at least a possibility that the evidence is fake. It's true. This trial is over. Mr. McGilded? Done everything I possibly can to cooperate with the court, but it's all over now. But you're the defendant. It's over, I tell you. Huh? Memory, recollection, what people think they saw. It's all nonsense. Facts are what counts. The fact is that bloodstain's there now. Well, over the course of this desperate trial, long and extremely drawn out as it has been, that good-for-nothing Reaper of the Bailey has failed to present any decisive evidence at all. I'm scandalized, so I am. I thought better of Lord Van Zykes. Well, my lord? I must concur with the defendant. Affirmed recollections of an individual can't stand as evidence. This moment in time, the particular bloodstain in question is very much in existence, and in the absence of any credible method to which to prove its alleged previous non-existence, I regret to say that it would be improper for this trial to continue. Your lordship can't be serious. Wow. What a twist! The prosecution, my lord, has no further witnesses or evidence to present. Very well. In that case, I believe we've explored every possible avenue in this matter. I shall proceed to my adjudication. As a formality, I am of course obliged to confirm with the defense first. What formality? As things stand in the moment, it would seem Mr. McGilded would be found not guilty, yeah. Which would mean we won. Is that really the right outcome here? Is it really alright for the trial to come to an end now with all these unexplained inconsistencies? What a dilemma. Your closing statement, please. Yes, my lord. The defense believes... Yeah, I'm gonna go with guilty. It's just too convenient. I'm here in the courtroom today to advocate for the defense of my client, Mr. McGilded. However, at this moment in time, I cannot, in all good conscience, fully attest to the defendant's innocence. What are you saying, man? Without any question, there's no conclusive evidence to prove that the defendant is guilty. However, there's also no conclusive evidence to prove he's innocent. Good gracious to me. Order, order. This is unprecedented behavior, counsel. A defense lawyer calling the accused innocent into questions? Are you of sound mind? Wahaha. Oh, 'twas a grand decision to appoint you as my lawyer. So it was, a grand decision. What? I must say, I didn't expect quite an exciting spectacle at the end there, but still. Here, have this for your troubles. Huh? Your job here is done, fella. Some fine work you've done, so you have. What do you mean? It's just as the right honorable gentleman so succinctly put it before, the trial can't go on anymore. And your closing statement there was, how did he put it now? Nothing more than a formality. Ah ha ha ha. What? What? I really don't know what to make of all of this. Was the evidence we seen genuine or was it fake? His lordship would be fuming. Any unsightly rubbish should be disposed of promptly, as I said. Sting and Rich are always guilty of something. You mark my words. I feel terribly ashamed that I ever doubted that lovely man who gave us the lovely park. Ugh. Now that proceedings have unfolded in this way, I am compelled to declare a premature end to this trial. Furthermore, the court must accept the defendant's plea. I thank you kindly, my lord. I hereby pronounce the verdict of this court. Objection! We still haven't determined if the bloodstain in the omnibus is genuine or not. We don't know if these witnesses are telling the truth or a pack of lies. We have no idea about the truth. Lord Van Zykes, my lord? The case made by the prosecution was flawed, plain and simple. If indeed the omnibus presented as evidence was tampered with, the prosecution is at fault for allowing such a disgraceful perversion of justice to take place. My sincerest apologies, my lord. But wait. When we were evacuated from the courtroom, Lord Van Zykes ordered the evidence to be secured. I'm afraid the prosecution cannot shun responsibility in this matter. That's so unfair. The culpability of the defendant has not at the present time been established by this court. Consequently, the jury will not be required to proffer judgment. What? Well, Lord Van Zykes, it's been a pleasure, so it has. And for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Do you mean to tell me this has all been a grand waste of time? 'Tis the law of the land, my good man. If you'd like to pursue the matter further, you can always go ahead and try to change the law. Magnus McGilded. Good grief, you're more to say to me, have you? Just one thing, a warning. This is far from over. Well, something to be looking forward to then. Ha ha ha. Hereby pronounce the defendant, Mr. Magnus McGilded, not guilty. Very controversial. Wow. What a twist! Nothing like the previous games where they're so... Yeah, because of the law being possibly flawed, that because of the presumption of guilt and or not guilt, an inconclusive criminal proceeding. That's true. Ah, that's awkward. In the end, you kind of threw your own defendant under the bus. It was. First ever trial on foreign soil and your first victory. It was a wonderful performance. My heartfelt congratulations. And to you, Mrs. Susato, thank you for your assistance. I suppose we should be happy. The trouble is, we're still completely in the dark on what actually happened. Well, we didn't have enough time. But isn't it wrong? I mean, who was actually responsible for Mr. Mason's death? We don't even know that. The sole aim of the defense is to obtain a verdict that exonerates the defendant. You carried out your duty to perfection. Aye, that you did. Mr. McGill did. That girl is with him too. Well, it seems the stories are true. Oh, what stories? About the 6 enormous fireworks to be letting off when the verdict not guilty. I'm sure you must have seen them now. Spectacular, wouldn't you say? Yeah, definitely. I heard it was a sight to behold, and to be sure it was. And I tell you to thank, I suppose, for having the opportunity to see it. Wah, ah, ah. It's like a Wario. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure I really did anything. What on earth are you saying, fella? How did I walk out of here a free man then? I don't think it was so much thanks to me as down to your planning. You're a straight-talking fella, aren't you? Must say, you had me straight in the head there once. You're young and headstrong. Wah ha ha. And 'tis water under the bridge. Congratulations, Mr. McGilded, on having your name cleared. Nothing's solved. There's only one thing that matters to me. Oh? You've all seen that I didn't do that odious abstinent deed. 'Tis grand, is it not? I suppose it is. Now the fine fellows at Scotland Yard can take matters in hand and sort out any wee details. They'll see it for what it is. They'll get to the truth. I have absolute faith in them. So I have. After all, I do be providing a good number of their wages with all the taxes I pay. Wah, It's not that funny. So then, as we agreed beforehand, 1,000 guineas for your troubles, fella. I couldn't possibly accept that much. I'll be whist. You're humble people, are ye? You from the east? Well, if you insist. But have this, still in all, you deserve a reward. Mr. Magnus McGilded. Everything is ready, sir, if you'd like to follow me into the courtroom. The courtroom? What's this, officer? It's sooner than I was led to believe. I believe it's not inconvenient, sir. There are some changes to the schedule. Well, I must be making tracks now. It's time for the inspection. Sorry? What inspection? We're going to examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. Must if I could be present for it myself. You're going to examine it again? Now? Naturally, I'm under no obligation to take part in any more of this matter now, but as an upstanding member of London society, I do be doing my best to help where I can. This gentleman's duty, so it is. So then, fare thee well. 'Twas an absolute pleasure to meet yous. Interesting. I hope you're having a whale of a time while you're studying here in Great Britain. How mysterious. And there he goes. A free man. I forgot she was here too. Don't move. Whereas I want to say, gotta move on. She really does take forever to load that thing. So, Strahd, would you mind putting that thing down? You're grown up? Sorry, I hate all grown ups. There you are. It's a tiny inventor. Naughty, naughty, running off like that. Is this some kind of picnic? Who's this little girl now? And taking that with you. As well, I was looking forward to the trial run on my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Huh. Oh, do you want to play? You won't beat me. Excuse me, but who are you? Little inventor, so cute. Oh, good day to you. I'm the inventor, I suppose, of that machine. The inventor? Well, normal smoke grenades are so dull, don't you agree? White, white, and more white? If you have to be shrouded in smoke, it could be at least a pretty color. I thought to myself, do we have to be shrouded in smoke, though, at all? I just took my eyes off for a moment whilst I was changing into different omnibus and she pinched it. Luckily, I fitted it with a telegraphic beacon. What's it? No idea what this girl's talking about. Oh, we got our friend. We gotta finish up real quick. Anyways, you're coming with me now back to my laboratory. What? What for? To apologize, of course, silly, to my technician. What, you mean say sorry? You must say sorry when you've done something wrong. Surely an adult has told you before. An adult? I don't listen to no adults. Come along then, follow me. Fine, have it your way. Oh good, you see, I knew you wanted to do the right thing in the end. Really sure what she wants is not to get shot by that massive gun of yours. We'll be leaving now then. Bye bye. I'm sorry for all the fuss. She was a lively one. I love that theme, it was so cute. Well, do you think perhaps we ought to be on our way too? Yeah, you're right, but where to? Oh, we haven't had time to find a place to stay, no sooner than we've arrived in London, so we had to rush here. All our traveling places are still with the bailiff. I was originally planning to spend today in search of lodgings, but at this late hour in the day, I'm afraid we may be right out. Good luck. Don't worry though, I have a plan. If the worst comes to worst, I heard of a lovely park where we could spend the night. Please tell me you're not thinking of McGilded Park. I know it may be a little chilly at this time of the year, but our youthfulness will see us through. I'm not so sure about that. I think mid-winter London night will freeze a young person solid just as easily as an elderly one. Oh dear, that doesn't sound agreeable. Now, I'm starting to regret turning Mr. McGilda down. That 1,000 guineas would have paid for a lovely warm room, or a mansion. And so, the trial to determine my worthiness for the study tour was over by the end of the first day in London. However, as we were soon to learn, there were more trying times ahead, just as the Reaper of Bailey had warned. The case was far from over. Ooh. There's a fire. What?
How did this happen? I don't know, sir. By the time I got here, it was already engulfed. No one was supposed to be allowed in here before we started investigating.
Someone was murdered?
Oh, good God. There's someone in there. This can't be.
Oh, wow. Oh my. What a twist. Another twist.